Hello, everybody. Welcome to our quick crash course on health insurance 101, the basics. In our first module, we'll be talking here what is health insurance and why do we need it? All right, so health insurance is a contract where you pay a company regular fees and they help cover your medical bills when you get sick. Okay, this is pretty obvious. I'm sure a lot of you you're paying for car insurance, have health insurance, maybe even homeowners insurance, among even pet insurance. Okay, so you guys are obviously familiar with health insurance. Now, when you have insurance, it doesn't necessarily mean free health care. Okay, a lot of people think just because you're paying a monthly fee that you're going to get any medical situation or bill covered 100%, but that's not the case. It is a cost sharing platform that protects you from massive bills like a $50,000 hospital stay, which could ultimately leave you into bankruptcy potentially. Okay. Obviously, think of your health insurance like car insurance. You pay your premiums even if you never crash, but it saves you if you do. My girlfriend actually recently just got into a car accident and car was totaled. They sent her a check. She was able to buy a brand new car, pretty much the same car. Now, in the US, most plans must cover 10 essential health benefits. No one can deny you coverage or charge more for pre-existing conditions thanks to the Affordable Care Act. Not everyone has insurance or needs health insurance. Health insurance is widely recommended as a safeguard against financial devastation. Okay? Yet, millions of Americans remain uninsured. Approximately 8 to 10% of people under the age of 65, which is about 26 to 27 million, lack coverage, leaving them exposed to significant risks. It's understandable, of course. I'm young and healthy. Never really understood the need for insurance, but as I got older, you go through issues, you go through things, you start to see the value of it. The reason why a lot of people do not have health insurance, of course, number one, the high cost of it. It is the leading reason of being uninsured, cited by over 60% of uninsured adults as the main barrier. Along with that, the lack of employer-sponsored coverage. It prevents people from getting affordable health care. I know people in part-time jobs that aren't offered full-time benefits, or you only get benefits for being full-time. And a lot of people choose jobs strictly for health benefits. Also, ineligibility for public programs like Medicaid. Perception of low need, particularly young and healthy individuals to forego insurance, believing they rarely use medical care could make sense. And even I would get behind it. I'd rather you spend. I don't want you to spend if you're young, like in your 20s, and you're spending $400 a month. No need to spend $400 a month. You're probably better off using that money into education, specialization, finding ways to earn more money than spending it into something you may never need. But there's still the risk, of course. Life is nothing but risk management, and learning how to manage risk is very important, something that we should all do. Complicated enrollment processes discourage others from signing up. Expiration of enhanced ACA subsidies. So in 2025, there was a steep premium increase, putting millions nationwide at risk of dropping coverage, joining the uninsured population. This would make sense if you're only subject to the Affordable Care Act. As you learn about me, or as we continue to discuss these things, I'm a big finance and economics guy. And I don't think it's very dangerous to let the government spend money on behalf of individuals. Okay, that's another form of socialism. We'll get into this, but it causes more problems than it fixes. And, that's why we're doing what we're doing to bring awareness and education in this area and new potential products to fix some of these problems. Okay. And then the intentional choice to self-pay. It is an option for healthy individuals to cover routine stuff. They are cheaper out of pocket when you go without using the insurance, but you do carry substantial risk. And my family is an example of it. If my family was only using self-pay options, I'm going to talk here about it here in a second. Okay, while going without insurance may seem manageable for those in good health, the consequences of a serious illness or accident can be catastrophic, potentially erasing savings and leading to long-term financial hardship. Now, my story. So this is what I'm about to get into. So my first issue with, and it's part of the reason I'm in this industry. So my first introduction, I would say, would be my grandmother, who had a journey of Alzheimer's disease. And at the late stages of her life, she had a hip fracture. She fell, broke her hip, and that's ultimately what caused her passing at a senior home. Okay, that was my first round. Was very young, don't necessarily remember much of that time. But I do remember my grandma, and I miss my grandma for sure, without a doubt. Now, my aunt, shortly after, ended up dealing with breast cancer, and this is my aunt right here. God bless her. She was the reason I was able to go check out Oregon and also play football. If it wasn't for my aunt, I would have never been able to play football and do other things. I didn't grow up in the richest household. We lived in, some of the more urban areas of my hometown. And well, I can get into this later, but she ended up beating breast cancer around when I was, again, on the younger side, 10, 12 years old. In 2018, my mother had a heart attack. So fast forward, I'm out of high school now, actually just getting out of college. I did a couple years stint in college, and my mom had a heart attack while she was playing golf. One of the scariest moments of my life. That night, I remember I was at Red Robin. I was a server at the time, and I get the call from my stepdad letting me know that my mom had a heart attack while she was playing golf. Couldn't even believe it. I was like, I got to get out of here. I ran to the hospital, drove to the hospital, and my mom was laying there in a bed. She had tubes coming out of her, a sight for I've never seen anything like it, and it was heartbreaking. And realizing that I may never see my mom again, I was like, holy crap. And my mom's a big proponent in my life. She raised me well, and she's also so my aunt was on my mom's side, and they gave my mom, and my family was divorced. So here's my dad and my stepmom. I would say we were on the lower income side for sure. But because of my grandpa, my aunt, my uncle, they helped us financially. So I was able to live I was able to experience both sides. I was able to experience poor, and I was able to experience, the finer things because of some family members. Like I said, I wouldn't have been able to play football had my aunt not allowed me or paid for my ability to do so. 2018, she had the heart attack. I actually ended up sleeping and staying the night in the hospital because I went home with my stepdad to spend the night at home, and I'm sleeping in my bed, and I could not sleep. Again, I did not know if I was going to see my mother again. And I ended up getting back in the car. We're talking 11 p.m., midnight, and I drove back to the hospital, stayed the night at the hospital. Luckily, my mom is still alive and well today, 6 years, almost 10 years later. And God bless my mother for continuing to fight. Now, she had several years following the heart attack of being in and out of the hospital, getting the tests. She had a pacemaker put in. She had problems with her pacemaker. They had to do things with the pacemaker. So just in and out of the hospital. I remember her saying that she was tired all the time during that 2-year period, but fighting through. And again, she's alive and well today. Now, my aunt ended up, so next thing here, my aunt ended up getting cancer again. Getting cancer a second time. The cancer spread through multiple parts of her body, and she had passed away right before COVID ended up breaking out. And I think my aunt I think the scare of COVID probably put her into her rest, because it was definitely a scary time, and she was super worried about it, and she was already sick. So she just, it wasn't a good time. But the financial hardship that my family would have gone through had they not had insurance would have been way worse. Way worse. We're definitely talking opportunity for bankruptcy. And it's a good thing that my parents, I did it. And again, a leading cause to why I got into the industry. I actually used to hate insurance. I would, because I hated it, I wouldn't want to do it. But I got into such a terrible position in my life. Like the 1 year I made like $12,000, totally on my ass. Almost probably had to go home and stay with my mom or stay with my parents. But I ended up getting into this health insurance space, and it put me back on my feet. with a more reasonable yearly income. Okay. So private versus public health insurance options. Now I focus on the private side. Okay. I do not believe in government intervention. I believe government intervention actually causes more problems than it does not. And I have plenty of resources that we can look into these ideas, but just think about it. Politics, is not a form of specialization. Okay, so you have people that don't specialize in certain areas making decisions in these areas of specialization, right? So, an engineer should probably tell you how to manage engineering versus an engineer telling you how to handle dental implants, right? You probably don't want somebody that works on machines all day to work on your teeth. That's like essentially bringing in government officials to make decisions around what happens in these areas of specialization. Now, I do think there's good reasons for public intervention or government intervention. I think there's needs for it, but I believe in a free market. I believe in unregulated markets, and I know there's issues without regulation. Partly insurance companies excluding people for pre-existing conditions. We're going to get into more of this stuff, but just know I do not believe in the form of government intervention, and I will put you in a position if you needed government insurance. I will just get you in front of the people that can help you in that. I don't offer it. If you need it, I will help you, but it's not something I believe in. So therefore I don't, they always say, get into an industry and in something that you believe in. And I believe in private insurance, and the company that I work in with, and our CEO, his mission of helping other people every day is something that I relate with, something I always wanted to do, which is help other people every day. It's why we're doing what we're doing. And we are private insurance. So private insurance, not affiliated with the government, can offer plans with better benefits and better pricing, as it is a transaction between you and the insurance company. So you don't have another middleman getting involved between this contract, okay? Some plans are medically underwritten, which means you can be approved based on your health. So they will reward you with better benefits, better pricing for being healthy. Now, I know this is, of course, where public insurance comes in, because not everybody can qualify for this type of insurance. So it kind of leaves people out to dry, which again, I think could be a pro reason why we have it. But at the same time, if costs weren't rising at such drastic rates, insurance companies probably could give people better products so that they could do more things, but they are limited because costs are constantly rising. Again, we're going to be touching on these things. Now, public insurance is government affiliated programs. They target specific groups who might struggle with private options. Okay, Medicare, for example, age 65 and up, or disabled. If you qualify for disability, you can qualify for Medicare under the age of 65. Medicaid for low-income individuals and families. You got to be reaching near poverty levels. But this could also bring in issues too, because people can be incentivized to be low income, so they'll find it easier to have more kids or to not earn money, because they can earn food, they can earn healthcare, they can earn a whole bunch of things with being low income. You have CHIP, which is for kids, and the ACA Affordable Care Act, meant for people with low income or pre-existing conditions. Public plans often have lower or no premiums, subsidized by the government, and cover those 10 minimum essentials that we were talking about earlier. There's fewer provider choices and longer waits in some cases with public insurance. So we're kind of dealing with with options here that it's not one option fits everybody's case. Okay, everyone comes with different cases, and that's why I got in this space to help kind of provide better information, better education, better options for the people that are unfamiliar to this entire industry altogether. Okay. So why healthcare feels so unaffordable in the US? Okay. So the US spends far more per person on healthcare than any other country. Recent annual per capita spending around 14,000 to 15,000 plus. Okay, this is roughly double the average of peer nations. Key drivers of high costs include skyrocketing prices for hospital stays, high cost prescription drugs, especially those specialty medications, massive administrative overhead, paperwork, billing waste, insurance related complexity, provider fees that rise much faster than wages or general inflation, often 7 to 8% per year. Okay. You guys are absolutely right. Insurance, healthcare costs are just, they're unbelievable. How could you afford any of this stuff? Honestly, if you're not constantly working, you guys are practically a slave to just being able to live a good life. We used to have a middle class. We used to have this American dream. Now, I do believe in a transition. A transition is coming. We're working on these things, but we need you. We need you guys to be patient. We need your trust and belief in what we're doing, as we'll be getting to these things. Okay, so healthcare is definitely unaffordable. Health insurance is practically unaffordable, but we're working on those things. The U.S. healthcare system, particularly through the ACA marketplace, has created financial pressures on private insurers in recent years, contributing to ongoing cost escalations passed on to the consumers and taxpayers. Private insurers in the ACA individual marketplace have faced profitability challenges, with some major players reporting losses or margin squeezes in government-related programs, including the ACA. Now, just think of yourself at home, okay, and you're at home trying to make things work. If you do not have income coming in, or you're constantly at a loss, which I'm sure most of you are, living paycheck to paycheck, you guys see how difficult it is to maintain living standards. Okay, sometimes you have to cut your ability to eat or downsize to a smaller house. You know, the ACA and laws and regulations force that upon businesses. And if you're a business and you're constantly in the red, you cannot stay open. Okay, you just cannot maintain it, which means you can't pay your people well. You can't offer good customer service, right? It hurts over time. Everyone operates by these financial principles, and they cannot be ignored. And that's where having public regulation come in, forcing things that just don't make sense. They just don't make sense, and they ultimately get passed down to you. Okay, the person that's, you, the people, me. I'm a part of this as well. Okay, the costs do get passed on to me as well. Insurers like Molina and others heavily involved in the ACA and Medicaid have cited elevated medical costs, higher utilization, and sicker risk pools as drivers of unexpected losses or withdrawn guidance. Overall, major payers with exposure to ACA and other government programs posted negative operating margins, reflecting struggles to contain costs under regulatory constraints. Okay, so it's getting more difficult for people to maintain the cost associated with higher medical bills. And, and people too, we're a sick nation. We have the most chronic illnesses. So people are just not, unfortunately not taking care of themselves, and they're not eating well, but also at the same time, they're poisoning our food. They're putting garbage in our food, and that's causing these chronic illnesses too. So there's an underlying factor in all these reasons, and that's where we pose our solution. And we're just happen to be in the healthcare industry, and we'll be touching on that proposal here soon. And that's this last step here. So our 2-step proposal: increase purchasing power over time. Okay, your dollar not decaying with the rate of inflation. How we're going to do that, we're going to get into that later on. Okay, but I do want to talk about this real quick. Technology, innovation, increasing supplies, and productivity bring deflationary tendencies in prices. Okay, so what does that mean? As technology improves, as innovations improve, as increasing supplies improve, as increasing specializations improve, as increasing productivity improve, you see prices fall with these increasing, again, supplies, innovation, and technology. Okay, think of a computer back in the day. When a computer was a new technology, they were the size of entire rooms. They would also cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. Over time, as things got better, as specialization became more abundant, more people understood how these things work, and manufacturing got easier and cheaper to produce these things. Now, a computer will fit on your lap. Okay, it's gotten smaller, it's gotten more efficient, it's gotten better, and you see the decline in prices as well. Now, instead of the massive computer that costs hundreds of thousands, again, now this computer sits on your lap and only costs $1,000. Okay, $2,000. You probably get one for $500, right? So we should be seeing this same effect here in the healthcare industry. But why do we not see that? This healthcare industry is a major, massive machine. We need to understand the interconnected parts of this machine, see where the parts are leaking or broken or need changing. We focus on those areas and we can start again seeing this deflationary tendency in prices, cheaper healthcare, more abundant healthcare, better healthcare, more efficient healthcare. With technology improving at the rate that it's improving, look at Moore's law, we should be seeing this effect in our healthcare prices. We do not, but ultimately that's what our two-step proposal is going to touch on, which means for you, lowering premiums, lowering deductibles, lowering max out-of-pockets. It seems impossible. It definitely seems impossible, but it is not. We are going to, as we get more attention and more people in our sphere, we will be touching on these things and hopefully implementing these things for you, the people, and for me. I'm thinking long term for my family. As we just discussed, my mother had a heart attack a couple of years ago, and I want to make sure that when she gets older, we will be able to protect her. We'll be able to take good care of her, and I can put good people in front of her so they don't resort to them doing evil things. Take a look at what's going on in Canada, guys. They are euthanizing their people. Okay, the socialized healthcare, they're still going for the cheapest cost necessary. No matter what, I'm going to touch on it later on, but it's not good. They're killing their people, and I don't want to see that happen in America. I would rather go into financial debt than lose my mom early. Money doesn't mean that much to me, okay? I mean, it does because we all have to work for it, but it doesn't mean more than my family does to me. I'd rather lose my money to spend more time with my mom and spend more time with my family than the opposite, okay? I mean, I think 99% of you, 99.9% of you would say the same thing, okay? So it's very important that we start implementing systems and processes to fix this unaffordability problem, and our two-step proposal is going to do just that, okay? So thanks for this video. I'll see you in the next one.